All right, you can see the screen, Adam?
Yep, we're good to go.
All right, I'm gonna minimize that then. All right, and then this will call the meeting to order. It's 11:00 a.m. on May 26th. So we have a new course proposal. First up, introduction to childcare. Sarah?
Yeah. So we have a new course proposal from the high school. This course is a third course in a series for students to be able to take. It would be a course taken after Child Development 1 and Child Development 2. Our new FCE teacher at the high school, Stacia Nowacek, she has the licensure to be able to teach this course and be able to get students 2 industry recognized credentials. The assistant child care teacher IRC and an infant and toddler certification. And we're also looking to get this class to become transcripted through Gateway Technical College, but we haven't quite got to that point yet. Okay. They for sure will be able to get the IRC. The course has been designed to be able to get those 2 industry recognized credentials. So our childcare workers, like in the state, have to have these certifications. So our kids will be able to come out of high school to be able to work at childcare center, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as long as students take Child Development 1 and 2, and then this course, they would have enough to be able to fulfill that IRC. The students will be also partnering with Jackson Elementary School to get 10 hours of observation there, and then working with Miss Esther to be able to get their other observation hours as well.
How many students do we have that are currently in like the 1 and 2 classes that are interested in moving forward?
We usually have one section of both of those. So anywhere between 15 and 30 kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
And has there been request from the students to be able to get this?
Yes,
Okay.
and just from the community. It's kind of like a pipeline thing because there's not enough health workers.
Got it.
So getting people to be able to do that would be really beneficial.
Okay. That's good. Great.
They're asking for $1,000 for busing.
We are taking that out. I had a conversation with Stacia, and that's why I'm sorry. Thank you for mentioning that. That's why I mentioned we would be partnering with Jackson because then the kids can just walk and we don't have to worry about them.
Okay.
The students would have to drive their own vehicles to be able to get the other 10 hours that are required for the 20 hours from BPI. But it would just be basically like how we set up our TAs, where our TAs have to leave from school and then go to a child care center to get those hours. And they have to provide their own transportation.
Okay.
So that part will be omitted from the proposal. Thank you. I forgot about that.
And are they required to deal with certain age groups?
Yeah, they have to be in that birth to age 4, I believe, 4K. Yeah.
Jackson has our early childhood programs. So
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions on the course proposal?
I think it's great.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll forward that to the board as a whole. All right. On to
Yeah, we can't do that one tonight. I'm sorry that it came in late.
And they didn't look. When would this take place?
This one would follow the regular course offering
For
cycle.
next year?
So no, following.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, not, it won't be available till 27, 28.
Mhm. Okay. Yep. So we'll get it in the course guide for students to be able to take classes.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of late to be
Yeah.
putting it in for 26, 27. Yeah.
No, and she's a brand new teacher, so
Okay.
it'll give her some planning time.
Okay.
She actually was a student teacher for us, and then
Oh, yeah.
hired her. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's exciting.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna excuse myself. Let you guys have fun with Neola.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Your time will come, Sarah. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I feel like it'll be long.
all right, starting with 7100.
Yes.
The only thing that I had on this one was that the board will prepare a capital expenditures plan and will review and revise that plan periodically thereafter. I'd like to make that a little more specific. Is that something we typically do annually, right?
We review that
Yeah,
charge or that expenditure, we
Yeah.
revise that, we wanna say annual.
I would prefer that it be done, that we name a period of time, you know, and that it be done annually. I think that's been our practice.
Okay.
Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay,
If you don't do that, then I would take out and put in may revise periodically. I'm just joking.
oh, okay.
You know how I hate the word may.
May, yes. Yeah, I think that was the only thing that I had on that one.
That makes sense, especially since we're recommending not selecting
Yeah,
any of these pieces which give the timeframes.
right.
Does that sound good, Nick?
Yeah.
Anything yet? All right. Adam, you're good?
Yep.
All right. Oh, gosh, allergies.
Yeah, they're bad.
All right.
I know, I had a sneezing fit yesterday.
Weapons.
John, you looked at this?
Pretty straightforward
Yeah.
in line with the law.
Explain to me in layman terms what this and conceal and carry, how that is affected.
It's still, you can't carry conceal even if you have a permit on school property.
Correct.
Okay,
Unless you're in capacity of your duties like a law enforcement officer, detective, something like that.
Right,
That was to come on school property.
right.
the part I got confused with was talking about in the car, dropping a kid off. So,
It's my understanding that you cannot possess a firearm on school property, even in your car. That's my understanding of the law.
Well,
No,
there's a section in
that's
here,
not, yeah, this provides for that.
and
Yeah.
I think we questioned that when we were meeting with the guy from Neola. And I haven't looked that up in law, but my guess is with what Neola does and their research, that they've researched this and yeah. Good thing if I have a concealed carry,
and I'm just
and
trying
I'm
to.
just dropping my kid off, I could have that, and did not that one say unloaded?
Yeah, it says they have to be unloaded and locked or whatever.
Right,
Not
not
reachable.
visible.
Not accessible.
Which that's reflective of, I think, what that state law is. I don't know if we even have the ability to, like, if the board wanted to allow concealed carry on school grounds. I have to double check. I don't know
I don't know that they can unless.
Yeah, I was just
someone's
gonna say.
official
Unless it's an
capacity.
off duty.
I
Yeah,
think that's a state law.
yeah.
This also mirrors like the rules of carry, of having a weapon, like for hunting and that it has to be,
Right.
like for the general public,
Mhm.
it has to be unloaded in a case, not accessible from where you are in that car.
One of the questions that I had is, because there are some exceptions that they list, but one of the scenarios that I was thinking of is like when we bring in the VFW for color guard, or they do, I don't know if there's ever been a time when they've done like a 3-gun salute or things like that. And does this allow for those situations? Well, yeah, in fact, on Veterans Day, they do a
Yeah.
3-gun salute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, are those even functional firearms or they're just
They're-
blank shooters?
Okay.
They're
They're not
like
functional
cattle
firearms.
cans.
okay,
And I believe there's another policy, I'd have to look it up, that says with the permission of the administration for events such as that,
okay,
that they're allowed, but
okay,
they are not functional.
okay. I wasn't sure if they were or not.
Here, the addresses with the approval of the principal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there a reason why we're just giving the principal approval power and not the district administrator?
As it relates to this right here, I just felt that with they're the ones that are more, how do you put it? I didn't feel that it needed to rise to district administration if they're doing a presentation or a project that's related to instruction and so forth, that the principal could handle that, but we could always.
My only concern would be, what if the principal is not available? Who, should we say principal or designee, or a principal or the district administrator?
So because in the policy, principal is capitalized.
Yeah.
It also means or designate.
Oh, okay, got it.
I mean, we could leave the district administrator and then it could be the designee who's the principal, but yeah.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to allow
That's a
for
good question.
an alternate person.
Then there is that theatrical props under there.
Yes,
Okay.
I did see that.
I
So,
don't know if you guys do Glenn Boyd, did you? I don't know if you know that he passed last week, our 102-year-old World War II veteran.
oh, he did.
And yeah, they were gonna do
Oh.
he was gonna get his high school diploma this year.
Oh
We had talked to him a few weeks ago and he was, yeah.
my gosh.
So yeah, I didn't, that
Oh,
just helps.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Is a lead pipe considered a weapon?
It could be if you're not using it for welding.
Had a definition of that weapon, and I was thinking, I come in with a lead pipe, I can cause some damage.
I think generally the intent, the intent of the law for that is the function or
Yep.
use.
So
how you
definition
brandish
of weapon, the term weapon means any object which, in the manner in which it is used, is intended to be used or is represented as capable of inflicting serious bodily harm. So,
I think the pipe in your hand taking the class would be different than
yeah,
I'm raising it, right?
right. I mean,
Where are
there's
you
lots of
reading that?
things that can be
Under the
used
definition
as
section,
weapons.
Oh. Is that
right there.
there? Yeah, I mean, we've had, when I went to Elko as a principal, there were 2 students who were expelled because they had used the clay cutter from the potting well and strangled the kid. Because they were able to get him off the kid and something, but that could have been it's just a wire with what you see assassins. So there's, anything could be used as
Correct.
a weapon if it's in the.
It's the intent, yeah. Another question that kind of popped into my head as I was reading this is, do we allow volunteers to transport students in their own vehicles? Period. I mean, regardless of weapons being present.
I think
Do
which
if they're
scenarios.
volunteer and have gone through a background check.
Okay.
I think there's a policy on that.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Mhm.
For some reason, I thought that, I know we don't allow.
In short, yes, I'm
Staff,
sure that's
right?
happened, like,
Staff.
we've
Oh,
transported to the airport, chaperones and so forth, transporting.
Okay.
Yeah, we would have that.
There's requirements and things that,
Okay.
insurance wise, things like that we
Okay.
request from them.
It's not very common,
Yeah.
but. It's interesting, I mean, one of the discussions that may come up down the road, we were having it at the conference discussion, just as budgets get tight and tight, like Muskego, they were talking about, there's several districts now that they don't even provide transportation to sporting events for the kids.
Wow.
That, because busing is one of the largest
Yes.
costs and difficulty in coordinating as well, but school districts are starting to move away from that, and
Wow.
then they coordinate, have parents carpool and transport.
Gosh.
I would have loved that as a coach, to tell you the truth, and so many of the private schools are already doing that.
Yeah.
Anyway, as a way to save costs, at least when I was up in Berlin, the private schools around there.
Yeah, we moved from the youth football used to, when I was first here, would do the transportation for sixth, seventh, and eighth, and when we moved it to the community and
Yep.
extended the grade levels, we stopped transporting and didn't have any issues with that.
That was kind of an important milestone as a parent when they got to high school, you knew you didn't have to drive your kid.
Yeah.
I just come in and just watch.
It's funny you just mentioned that. I was here thinking to myself, wonder if we need to circle back to getting the large transit vans for golf and tennis and all that type of stuff, because what does a bus cost as opposed to
Yeah,
having
yeah,
12 passenger van?
right. Yes, for some of those smaller teams that,
Yeah, just golf and tennis.
yeah.
Be to me, but also for small field trips.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway,
All right,
most people do
Um,
that topic.
so we're looking at adopting all three of the options here under weapons, including well, it would be four.
yeah, we kind of left it open-ended there to give, I didn't really have a strong
Yeah.
recommendation either way, would be okay. The board wanted to adopt them all. We felt this was kind of reflective of what we thought the board's wishes would be. But
I mean,
didn't want to make a judgment either way on it.
I'm fine with it. I don't know.
I'm fine.
Okay. And
Yeah,
Adam, okay.
I know it's really changed a lot. When I was first in teaching in Webster, Wisconsin, that's the first district south of Superior, you'd have kids come with their hands on the gun racks. Still deer hunting in the school was over. Hunter safety was in the school. They'd always bring
Right.
firearms in. Yeah.
And when Dad dropped you off in his pickup, he had it on
Yeah,
on the rack.
right.
Yeah, it was more on seven. I remember once when we had a student stormed out and just left. It was like, okay, let's watch, because you didn't know.
Mhm.
Not that you know now, because somebody could have a firearm in their vehicle. All right, so that was weapons, gifts, grants, and bequests.
And I don't think I had any
I didn't either.
issues
I
here.
like the easy ones.
Yeah, I like how this one has the language in it that says that are approved by the board will be formally acknowledged, because we do that. I know we receive gifts and so forth that are just dropped off, and we don't, it would be untenable to try to run every
Yeah.
gift through the board. Yeah,
Like,
I'm sorry, Stebbins Builders, you can't drop off the donuts that hasn't been approved by the board.
or the ones I get, I would be retiring German teachers dropping off the books that they don't use anymore.
Sure.
Yeah,
And I was told, use what you can and then throw away the rest, because we're not gonna give an amount of what it was.
Okay, so we're good on that one.
I think so, yeah. I didn't see any
Right.
issues.
Site acquisition.
There's just a typo there with regard, it should be not with regard to, not with regard for. Yeah, I didn't see any issues with this one.
Me neither.
All right. Okay. Well, I will say on the site acquisition, it was interesting when we acquired the land on Market Street.
Yeah,
I know was I guess some debate in the community over, what we had settled on the price, which I think was around 21,000 an acre. That, well, that's, the district way overpaid, and to be frank, the seller was, well, this is my price. If you want the property, here's what I'm willing to sell it for. There are legal procedures you can go through to, Union Grove just went through this to eminent domain, the property, but that was lengthy and challenging for them. I think at the end of the day, that's what's in our
just gonna say-
true value.
That creates a lot of bad will.
Yeah.
Bad publicity.
So so from the seller's perspective, that's what it was. Now, the acreage by the DMV, I think that sold for about 80,000 an acre. So, and I think that when we finally purchased the land, if I recall, that was either the 5th or 6th time the district had approached purchasing that land.
I was just gonna say, when you first
over the
came,
years. Yeah,
didn't the district have the opportunity to buy it for much less?
not right when I first got it. Prior year, it went all the way back to the 90s. I think it was like 2,000 an
Oh,
acre,
my
and that fell
goodness.
through. It's been 4,000 an acre, and 5 and 6.
Wow.
Then when we looked at it, it was up at that range, yeah. And so I would look back and say, yeah, quite a bit of it's wetland, but still, if you compare it to, what that other large purchase was, and there was limited acreage in town, so. I think, yeah, in retrospect, now it feels like we got a deal, but that's why I just said that.
This serves a lot of purposes now. I mean, it's.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I know Sam Tapson wasn't happy because he envisioned some gas stations or possibly a restaurant there adjacent to the high school. Yeah.
It's the same guy that had the city hall that's out of town in the industrial park.
Yeah, don't get me started.
And the referendum to not adequately, never
It's still thinking about it.
Sorry.
All right. So commemoration of school facilities.
Yeah, well, we would definitely need to strike that one, that sentence, because we've already done that. Honored somebody who is still living, so.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Do you also want to add districts are selling naming rights? Or if they pay an adequate price? That could be a totally
there's-
separate
yes.
policy.
That's always something that people could do.
Just like the Brewers did where what it used to be. It's American Family Field. It used to be, yeah. Schools are starting to sell sponsorships
Of
for
course.
limited time for names of centers.
Have you even noticed they started to do like so-and-so field, so-and-so stadium, so they can double up on it, right? Or so-and-so court, so-and-so.
Correct.
We get around the Berlin, I think I told you, Eisenhower gets $10,000 a year for naming rights on the soccer field.
Oh yeah, what's it name?
CNF fencing field.
And that's every year, 10,000.
Yeah. I mean, we've got
The first one was
baseball fields,
9,000,
we've got
they upped it on the
softball
second one.
fields, we've
5-year
got
deal.
soccer fields, we've got.
Maybe we should look, that's probably a separate policy
I'm
we could
sure it
flag
is.
and or one that we would need to create, but I guess I would like guidelines before approaching. Some of that, I've had people bring that up.
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe you can still have a field or a facility commemorated while selling sponsorship, I don't know. Or does that preclude you from being able to?
It's both. Because like, I've seen it, like Drexel Fieldhouse and it's, Jason Tadlock Court inside of Drexel Fieldhouse.
Yep,
Oh, okay.
I mean, so you can still name the aspects off of it, but it's all a financial draw.
It
I mean,
is.
it's really creativity to do that stuff.
And we do have that other approach, which is like the video boards or
Right.
that type of advertising, but I could see someone. The Agility Center is probably the one that I can see could be
Yes.
potentially the most visible, where you could actually put an advertiser or something on a name on the roof of that. If someone wanted to try, because that has great visibility from the interstate too. But,
Yep.
all right. Memorials for staff and students.
Well, the one that comes to mind is the one that's on the first floor at the high school, down the by the second stairways.
Oh,
for
military,
No, yeah.
Vietnam vets
is
that,
that Stofflet?
yeah,
Can't remember his first name, Michael?
Michael.
Stofflet?
yeah, that died in Vietnam. That's the only plaque I know of.
There's
Waiter-
the Waiter Auditorium is a name.
Right now, right?
Yeah, so we have bench over at West Side. I don't know if they put a little placard on that for a couple students.
Well, then we have the memorial out in front of the high school for,
Yeah.
um,
Does that one have a name on it or a placard?
I believe it does.
Sure it
It
does.
does. We
The,
have Tibbetts, there's that tree for the girl, that we graduated in last year.
so I like how it says generally, but it
Mhm.
does allow for,
permanent.
because we do have permanent memorials. Yeah, typically they're outside, with the exception of what you spoke to in the high school. The tree that was planted outside, we have another bench coming. We were supposed to have a white bench, red, white, and then a blue bench.
Oh,
And the white bench, is supposed to be in honor of our students who have passed, all of our students. So
And where's that going?
that'd be in that same front area of our high school.
yeah.
Yeah. The tree, I was approached by a parent several years ago who they had requested, they'd had a son who had died by suicide and had requested a memorial at that 10 years ago. And they said, well, we can plant a tree. So the tree right next to that memorial, they had wanted to do a bench. And so they had asked about that bench. So we said, you know, we could do a general bench honoring students as a more anonymous type, but in honor of our students who passed.
Does this have anything to do with scholarships?
I don't think so.
Also,
Okay.
Oh, yes, it does.
Because I'm
where's
just thinking those foundation is created to have a memorial scholarship.
It says some examples of memorials include a blood drive partner
Oh.
with local nonprofit organizations and related activities and or establishing a scholarship.
yeah, there's lots of memorial scholarships.
Right.
Okay. I mean, otherwise, the language as is reflects current practice for the most part, yeah. We're good on that one?
I think so.
Disposition of personal property.
Um. So with regard to personal property, specifically instructional materials, and maybe Sarah needs to be part of this discussion. But how often is instructional material reviewed for relevance and current information, things like that? Is there a review like every 3 years, or I'm just wondering?
I'd say it's more like we have that formal review, like we just went through the ELA review. So we have the reviews every, it's either 6 or 7 years on that cycle where they do those large ones. I would say high school, functions a little differently where they're constantly, I don't want to say they work a little bit more independently, but their departments are smaller. I think they're more proactive on that. So I don't know if they have a formal schedule on that or if that's.
And
more
definitely if
as
you're
needed.
an elected teacher, you probably don't have any scheduled.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, because there's so many different
right.
unique singletons, but they're
I think I'm
Awesome.
thinking more along the lines of things that are constantly changing, like history. Like I wouldn't want to be using 10-year-old textbooks in history. You know what I mean? Like I'd like to, I don't know. I think it's good to have, especially as related to recent history.
yeah. So the ELA or the social studies, they just that was probably 5 years ago. They did at least the K-8 review, and then I think at the high school level again, they're working more because like if they're an AP history teacher, that's getting updated. They have the civics requirements. I don't know if they're even using. I'd have to double check. I don't know if they're using formal textbooks at the high school level.
Okay.
A lot of the departments gonna develop their own texts related to that.
Because Adam, didn't you have a situation where some really out of context old instruction was being used?
Yes, and I was actually going to jump in and see if maybe we want to table this or have a further discussion with Sarah.
Yeah.
For exactly that reason.
Yeah,
Without getting too deep into it, I think it would be a good idea to have that conversation
Yeah.
Okay.
and just see what Sarah's thoughts are specific to that situation, Julia.
Yeah.
What grade level or age was that, Adam, out of curiosity?
It was middle school.
Okay.
Or no, I believe that one might have been high school, actually. Yeah, it was. That was high school. Sorry, that was high school. My
you told-
apologies. Yep, that was high school.
Let's table that, and then we can get the updated, then it's not guessing, we can get the updated, what's the schedule rotation, how does that
Okay.
function, and build that into the policy.
Yeah.
As far as the disposal and stuff, yeah. And libraries weed on a regular annual basis.
Yes. And we've talked with the librarians before on that. I think they do a pretty good job of
Yeah.
that.
I know it feels weird to throw away books. And there's services that will come in if there's any value in the textbooks, but you do have to weed a collection.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna table 7,300, correct?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
It was, oh, did I click on the same one again?
Both 73.
Yeah, they're both 7,300.
Oh. Oh, one's real property.
Oh, right.
So personal property is like the items, supplies,
And the other
textbooks.
one is real property, which is.
I'll double check those numbers.
Yeah, no
Land.
kidding. Yeah, they feels like they should be different numbers.
Well, this says 7310 is disposition of personal property. So it looks like we're just missing a 10 on the other.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't think I had any issues with this one on the real property.
Okay.
Were you okay with it?
I was fine.
Okay.
And for us not being a large district, it doesn't really come into play very often.
Right. Honestly, I guess there's only one time that we've considered,
That slice of
yeah.
options, yeah.
So moving on to maintenance, is that what we're going on?
Yeah, 7410.
Were you good with this one, Nick?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much what we already do. We try to
Uh-huh.
kind of facilitate it and go through it and use it as talking points. I think that one of our draws was it didn't commit us to doing like a 5-year or 10-year capital improvement plan because it's so fluid that
Yeah.
it's hard to just lock in, and it gave for the flexibility of that piece.
Well, and I think in that previous policy, we were looking at having you do an annual capital improvements program, so really it's getting reviewed every year,
Right.
you know? So,
Um, my one thought that I have is because we're not selecting some of these like the spare parts or equipment, I wonder if we should say a long range program of facilities and equipment. Just
Sure.
include equipment in there,
yeah,
refurbishment, modernization. It leaves it a little more general, but recognizes that equipment component as well. So that's something you've been working on, Nick, is trying to get a better handle on, okay, what's our life cycle for the actual equipment and hardware that we have.
Correct.
All right. Hygienic management.
did you have any thoughts on this, Nick, or were you?
No, I mean, I walk the buildings almost, it seems like daily, but I mean, we're incorporating different things that work well with Mary. She kind of lets me know when there's spikes in certain illnesses so that we can treat them differently. We have kind of a check sheet that we're implementing with the start of next school year to do more, periodic checks on individual cleaning runs and, things like that. I think overall the buildings, I'm pretty happy with the way they look. Like you walk into the high school, it always looks immaculate. I mean, all the buildings in general, but
Any visitors that come consistently say they're very impressed with
right.
the facilities, yeah.
And I generally get that same type of feedback. And like I tell my teams, I mean, we can't do anything like if a bathroom's out of date, right? Like that's not up to us. Like, are we keeping the bathroom clean? Are we keeping it
Right.
sterile? Are we doing all those things and all that type of things? That's not a reflection on that. But
Right.
I think from the hygienic measure, I think we're in a pretty good spot on it with the relationships.
Yeah, the Nick's done some things with trying to mitigate like MRSA or some of the locker room stuff when we're not having good air circulation or hygienic.
Yeah, I guess those are kind of the things I forget about in the run of the school year because I mean, the football locker rooms felt so wretched that eventually we just got one of those air purifiers put in there that you would read about, hear about, and all that. It's amazing the changeover it did in that. I mean, now it's tolerable. Yeah, I mean, Maria doesn't have to put a nose clip on when she goes in to clean at night. It's actually holds the odor. I mean, not that it was quite that bad, but it really could have been that bad. But it's a minimal investment, and it's purifying the air too. So it's getting rid of the odor, it's purifying the air, and I mean, maybe we add another one in every locker room as we go through each year.
Yeah.
Because we mounted those and we added fans. Dick shaking your head, didn't work.
It's supposed to smell in there.
Yeah, they're supposed to have a little better air circulation.
Yeah.
So things don't.
So.
All right. Safety standards.
Yeah, I mean, I was fine with this one unless you guys have something that you wanted to add to it or.
Yeah.
I think it's just boilerplate meet the law,
Yeah. So tobacco and nicotine, the one thing that I thought of, and I don't even know how to word it, but I just was listening to a news article the other day where they were talking about this new, and it's not referenced in here, and that's why I'm wondering if we need to figure out wording to address this form of nicotine, but it is, it's a huge growing trend of people are getting their nicotine fixes through something that you just put in your mouth.
Zone, there's little nicotine pouches, not
Yes,
necessarily tobacco.
correct.
It's just a straight nicotine.
Straight
pouch.
nicotine. And they're saying that,
Does it reference?
well,
Product design,
Nicotine
it says the
delivery
product
systems.
designed to resemble, right, that paragraph right there,
Where is it?
resemble.
The term imitation.
The term imitation tobacco product means any eligible non-tobacco product designed to resemble a tobacco product.
Whether natural or
Non-edible,
synthetic.
non-tobacco product designed. to
Oh, okay.
resemble by children applying imitation. Yeah, whatever happened to good old candy cigarettes?
I used to. First.
They bubble gum cigarettes.
Cigarettes, yeah. No, I think what will be interesting, because I've also heard some medical reports where the straight nicotine piece where people are wearing just the patches because of mental clarity and that it's not necessarily bad for you. So I think obviously that's not here would be included there. There's probably a lot more research on that, but I think that'll be interesting to start to see that.
Did you think that paragraph covered that, Julia, where it had it addressing the imitations and the?
I think this right here is where
The
it's
imitation
covered.
tobacco product.
It's right here, as well as
Other
other
nicotine
nicotine
delivery
delivery
systems.
systems.
Okay,
And that's what's in it. It's a straight nicotine pouch. So
Yeah.
from this, I would say,
Okay.
yep, that's any other nicotine delivery system.
okay. I just wanted to make sure that that would be covered, because that seems to be
Now, I
something
did
very
get,
easy for
yeah.
students to.
What's the state law say?
Don't know.
They can't be sold to under 18.
Well,
Yes.
state law also says that no tobacco usage can be on school property. If it's just tobacco.
no, but you can get my foster daughter had a prescription for nicotine gum. And or the nicotine pouch. The pouch didn't work great for her, so she had a prescription for the gum to try to help her get off the vaping and the smoking.
And that's nicotine.
Mhm. It's expensive to buy. You can buy it over the counter, but with the prescription, the insurance covered it. It's pricey. She
Yeah.
didn't like it that much when she moved out. There's a lot of nicotine gum left up in the cupboard. But I wonder, I mean, I don't see any medical exception.
Well, yeah, I guess if that's the case, if kids need a prescription for that kind of thing, then we do have to allow for that, right?
That's why I'm asking what the state law was, if the state law prohibited tobacco use or nicotine use.
Right.
Well, you can't, you have to be over, did they just change the age?
It's
Or is it still
21.
18? It's 21 now.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we gotta change that.
And you have to be that age to buy the Zen packs, so you can't.
Yeah, but tell me
Okay,
that's
otherwise.
not being violated.
Well, and the vaping,
Right, exactly.
well,
So it says-
that's what I'm hearing is the vaping is
Yeah,
still
So
a major
state law
problem.
Yep,
says
it
minimum
is.
set age of 18, but retailers must adhere to the federal minimum age of 21.
Oh, so our state didn't pass it, but it's kind
But
of federal.
but retailers have to follow the federal law, which
Okay.
is 21.
Oh,
That's not confusing.
right?
Federal law supersedes state law.
Correct.
All right.
I knew we had looked at this before because there's that instruction of in the history.
Oh, that's right, yes,
We did, we modified our.
yes. Our current
But we
policy,
developed ourselves, yeah.
yes,
And we kept that in.
yes. Do we need to?
Oh, it's right here. FDA approved cessation products.
Yeah, but it,
Are exempt from the policy for adults and staff 18. Oh,
yeah, that's what I'm saying, it
Yeah.
doesn't, it still doesn't address those
do we
under,
allow it for kids?
right,
I wonder if it would be in some of the health policies.
With prescriptions, right?
Mm-hmm,
Cause you can't like pop Adderall on the back of
Right.
math class unless you have it.
right.
Yeah, but I would think we want to include it in here if we're going to allow it for kids. I think that's a board
Right.
decision. Do we want to allow that for kids or not?
I mean, if we're gonna say that we wanna help kids get off of tobacco use and we don't allow them to have a prescription for something that is, I guess, I don't know enough about the product. If it does actually help kids stop vaping, and I feel like we need to allow for it if it's a prescription.
I'm not a huge fan of that, but yeah, you're right, Julia. I mean, if it works, if it's a prescription, we don't really even have.
So I suggested, and minors with a medical prescription who follow the district's drug administration policy. That means they couldn't have it on their person. They would have to have it down in the office,
Okay.
check in, get the gum when it's time to have the gum. Because I think the concern there is, hey, I've got my prescription from the doctor, so I can carry my nicotine gum around and
Right,
share with my friends.
exactly.
We don't let the kids, and if they have a patch on, that's fine. They're not going to be sharing the patch.
Right,
Cause we have people that take narcotics that night are in school, which
right.
you
Yeah.
can't have in
So-
school normally.
Yeah, the policy should be if it's a prescription, you have to get the prescription from the nurse.
Going back to what Nick said, that might be more in a health policy, and I wonder if it describes that.
Well, it may, but it probably doesn't speak to the nicotine itself. But I think in this one here, to be clear, to provide clarity, we probably need to add it in there.
Right, I would agree. You could put a reference to
The medical
the
policy.
medical or the health policy or whatever we wanted to, but
I'll put this insert reference. Okay. Does that sound good?
because I don't even know if we've looked at that yet or,
We have not.
okay. Yeah.
That's in the
Like, I don't remember what we looked at.
All right.
John and Jason, this is my second time through this. We went through at the police department and like, oh,
Oh, boy.
I think it's worse knowing what you're in for.
All right. Let's see. From the time standpoint, should we go to the early grad requests or?
Probably, yes, if you guys need to leave by noon.
All right. All right. Thank you.
So
Jake,
we'll pick
yeah.
up with 7440.
We're out.
7440 next. I think we can.
That's what I got for 7434 personally. I don't think I did.
Thanks for.
I don't think
refreshing
I
my
got to
memory.
7440.
All right. Let's see, Adam, I'm going to send you a new invite for Google Meet.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, sounds good.
All right.
Sure. By myself, I'll get on very quick.
Thanks, John.
Well, either good day. See you tonight.
Yes.
Log out of this.